What is up, my highway cruiser pals? If you're checking in for an update to the head gasket replacement, I've put about 400 miles on the bike since I repaired the head gasket with my glass sanding technique, and it seems to be holding up well. However, the other day I had an unrelated electrical issue with the wing that left me stranded at the grocery store, and I ended up walking 1.5 miles home in the 100-degree heat. Today we're reviewing the issue I found, its symptoms, and working our way through what I did to fix the issue. So last Sunday, I was making a quick run to the grocery store for some of that fresh supermarket sushi. It was about 100 degrees outside, and I had already put about 80 miles on the bike that day without a problem. When I returned to the bike with some of Fred Meyer's best uncooked ocean treats, I put the key in the ignition, turned it, and nothing. No lights, no fuel pump, no neutral light, absolutely nothing. So I fiddled with the switch, I rocked the bike back and forth, turned the handlebars with no sign of life. By coincidence, when I touched the power to the CD player, the bike awoke, and I thought I'd better get it home as quickly as I could. With the press of the start button, she fired up and we were on our way. I only made it about half a block before she shut down on me again. I pulled the clutch and coasted into the nearest Sherry's parking lot. With no tools and far too much heat, I decided I'd better get the grocery store sushi home before it spoiled even more in the hot heat. So I hoofed it home and returned later in the evening as the sun was setting. To my surprise, the bike fired right up and we were on our way home. She did try to die on me a little bit while passing through an intersection about halfway home, but we were able to make it into my driveway. With the permission of my wife to spend yet another evening in the garage, I was able to get straight to work. The common issues with these old wings is their 30 amp dog bone fuse, which feeds all the electrical from the battery. As the bike ages, these old exposed dog bone fuses can become brittle and break. Even though I knew of this issue, I hadn't found the time to replace it in the last 30,000 miles I had put on the bike, and to my surprise, the issue was worse than I had expected. I started with removing the battery. I highly recommend removing the negative terminal first on these bikes. There's a lot of exposed metal around the positive terminal, and if you're clumsy with your tools like me, you run the risk of causing a direct ground fall if your screwdriver comes in contact with the positive terminal and any exposed metal on the bike at the same time. If you remove the negative terminal first, you can be as clumsy as you like and not risk welding your screwdriver to the frame of your motorcycle. With the battery removed, the risk of electrical shock neutralized, I moved on to assessing both the dog bone fuse and the other wires associated with the starter solenoid. So as I started messing with the dog bone fuse, it easily broke and became useless. I'd never really worried about this too much because I knew I had a spare under the terminal cover, but even as I removed the spare, it also crumbled under the pressure of just removing it from its holder. So here's a good look at the GL1200 starter solenoid. The dog bone fuse would typically be here, between the two screw terminals. This red wire up top that's all bloated from heat is responsible for passing all the power from the stator and or battery to the bike's electrical components. And this red and white wire here brings power from the stator to the battery and or the bike's electrical components. If you look even closer, you can see that the power flowing through this electrical clip has generated enough heat to not only melt and bloat the main red wire, but it's also started to melt and deform the clip and its housing. Here's a little wiring diagram of the starter solenoid that I mocked up. On the left side is the positive battery terminal, which connects to the B terminal of the starter solenoid. The S terminal is connected directly to the starter motor, and in the middle is the starter solenoid, which completes the electrical circuit to start the bike. The 30 amp dog bone fuse is an extension of the starter solenoid B terminal, and at this point is essentially a node which connects the battery, stator, and the main power for the bike. The 4 wires associated with the starter solenoid's electrical clip are represented here in the plug. The 2 wires up top activate the starter solenoid and start the bike. The red ignition wire is connected to the ignition switch and provides power to the bike's electrical system. The red and white regulator wire charges the battery and provides electrical power to the bike from the bike's stator. For the solution I'm implementing today, I'm going to remove the red ignition switch wire and the red and white regulator wire from the electrical plug. Because the red ignition wire is bloated and derated, I'm going to cut that back to some good metal and compression fit the regulator, ignition, and positive battery terminal together using a 10 AWG inline fuse and a 30 amp fuse. The solution will look like this. So with the electrical plug removed from the starter solenoid, I just snip off the red and white wire far enough back from the bloating and corrosion to have some good metal for our new compression node. With the wires removed, I can then strip the wires to allow for enough bare metal to make a good electrical connection. Because the wires will no longer be going to the solenoid clip, I can remove them from the electrical clip's hood. I've got a spare brown wire here that I use for my CD player, but you guys can just ignore that wire. After I get the wires all tidy, I just use some shrink tubing around them to keep them in place. For the electrical connection, I decided to use a 2-aught compression lug. Because I didn't need the lug itself, I removed that with my bandsaw. I would have been better off with a smaller compression fitting, but this is just what I had handy. I think I had gotten it from Harbor Freight. If I would have had a number 8 compression lug or a number 8 butt splice, I think that would have worked perfectly for this situation. I decided to just use some spare number 12 ground wire to fill up some of the empty space within the lug. With my wires all situated, I was ready to compress the lug. Because I had small wires and a large compression fitting, I started with the 2-aught die and worked my way down until I was satisfied with the connection. With a proper connection, I slid my heat shrink over the fitting, shrunk it down, and started reassembly of the bike. You'll basically want to put the bike back together as it came apart, with the exception of adding your new inline fuse to the positive battery terminal. After I got my bike back together, this improved electrical connection made a huge improvement. The bike started better than it had in years, and it operated a lot better in the high RPMs, where I believe the poor electrical connection was not allowing the coils and spark plugs to operate as they should. It was getting to the point that I was thinking of cleaning the carburetors again, but after this electrical improvement, the bike is running better than it has in years. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you learned something new or saw something you liked, click the thumbs up below. It literally costs you nothing and it motivates me to keep producing content. And if you're interested in learning more about keeping your GL1200 running, a subscription to my channel is the best thing for that. I apologize as I don't feel like this video is quite the quality of my other videos, but I've had a busy summer and I believe I'm in need of a computer upgrade as the editing of the last few videos has been painstakingly slow. Until I see you guys on the road, I'll hope to catch you in the next video. Peace.